Welcome to another video, guys. Today we're going to be talking about where you could be farming the best sets in the game right now. I've seen a lot of people ask me this: where should I be farming gear, what should I do to improve my account, and all of that. So in this video I'm going to try and answer all of those questions. So I hope you find the video helpful, and if you do, it would be awesome if you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget you can check me out live on stream each Tuesday and Thursday, where I do free account takeovers so you guys can enjoy the game even more. If you want to support the channel for free, you can download the game from my premium download link and start yourself a second account the right way with tons of amazing champions right at the start, and you're also gonna have 48 hours to use the promo code section for an extra amazing legendary champion. But now let's get into the video. So, when it comes down to gear, one thing is for certain: the normal dungeons are pretty much not where you want to be farming gear for the most part. There are still a couple of sets you really do want a lot of and good sets from, but for the most part, everything from the regular dungeons is just grade A garbage, and you should be keeping a very little amount of it if we're talking about endgame at least. If you're early game, if you're mid game, if you're late mid game even, you still will need a good amount of those sets, but for the most part, the really good gear does not come from the normal dungeons anymore. When we're talking about normal dungeons, this is Ice Golem, Spider Tournament, Dragon Lair, and Fire Knight. All of those do give a few decent pieces here and there, but for the most part, your best gear is not going to be coming from here. If you really do want to be farming the classic dungeons, I'd say Dragon probably is the best one you could go for, because it gives you the speed set, which is by far still an end game piece of gear you could be putting on your best, fastest champion. Speed gear still is the fastest set in the game, and even though there are a few better sets than it, like Divine Speed technically is better, even though who gives a crap about the shield, but the Instinct set definitely is a huge improvement for the speed set, because it also gives you cooldown reduction chance, which ain't no joke. I said Instinct, I think I meant Impulse. It is basically a speed set with a 12% chance to reduce a random skill's cooldown, so it's basically a speed set plus reflex set combined together, which definitely ain't bad. Another decent dungeon to be farming, if you really want to be farming those, would be the Fire Knight, because this thing gives you the Savage set, which is definitely still not a top tier set, but it's still gonna give you a very good amount of ignore defense for your champions, and that is the best way you could be dealing tons of damage with your nukers. The regen set, most people don't really need too much of it, but having yourself 2 or 3 good sets of regen gear would be a good thing, and having yourself a few sets of stun gear also ain't the worst, but it's definitely not a top tier set, that's for sure. The rest are pretty much hot garbage except for the shield set, which is still pretty important for things like Wixwell teams, Titus teams, that kind of stuff, but for the most part everything else is pretty ignorable, so you really shouldn't be bothering with it. From the Ice Golem, you actually have 3 decent sets. I'm saying decent because they're not end game by any means, but having yourself a couple of good sets from Provoke, a couple of good sets from Cursed, maybe even a little bit more, and a few sets of good reflex gear definitely is not bad, because there's plenty of decent strategies with these pieces. With the reflex set, you could be building yourself a champion with 4-piece reflex, 4-piece merciless, so you really get those cooldowns rolling. With the curse set, basically you could bring a champion that doesn't bring hex, but with the curse set you are gonna have 50% chance of getting that debuff. And with the provoke set, you could even be bringing somebody that doesn't have provoke in Hydra and still expect the provoke to be landing reasonably often. And as for the Spider, well, Spider is kind of dead, guys. Spider, even getting yourself mythical accessories out of it nowadays just is not good. The basic accessories literally are second tier to any variety set at this point, because they just don't give anything anymore. Like, the only reason you could be farming Spider would be maybe to get yourself a little bit of extra banners with the potential of getting a good amount of speed. This, for instance, does have a chance of actually quad rolling for me right now, which I would be very happy if I get a quad roll on a banner. But what is the point of me giving my champions basic bitch accessories when I could clearly be giving them at least 5% speed with a couple of accessories from Feral, at least 10% speed with a couple of pinpoint pieces, and heck, I could even be giving them 12% speed with 3 pieces from protection, so that can be pretty huge. So yeah, basically you get it. Spider at this point is just the place where you should be farming a good amount of silver, but if you're still thinking you're lacking a good amount of accessories, definitely don't be afraid to be farming Spider 10 Horde for a decent chunk of potentially mythical accessories. They're not gonna be the best, but they're still gonna be better than what you probably have if you're eyeballing Spider, to say the least. I myself am mainly nowadays farming Spider 20 normal, so I can actually bring 4 food champions and still get a decent chunk of silver for not that much energy. But if you're still hoping to get something usable out of Spider, Spider 10 card would be the way to go, even though it's not gonna be very easy for a lot of people. But don't get me wrong, if you're a newer player, Spider 20 is the perfect place to be farming decent amount of accessories still, but if we're talking about endgame, that's not the place. While we're on the subject of dungeons, while we're here, might as well talk about the event dungeon. Right now, this is the best dungeon you could be farming because the chronophage accessories are just so damn good. Even getting yourself a couple of bad ring and amulets is gonna be absolutely amazing for you because getting yourself 10% speed from a ring plus amulet, this used to be unheard of a year or two ago. So if you want to give your champions an instant improvement, a couple of accessories from the chronophage set would be amazing, and also building a few support champions in a full chronophage set would definitely not be bad because the set really is damn good. It does give a lot of speed, it does give a lot of res, and it also gives the immutable stacks, which definitely ain't no joke. So yeah, if you can farm yourself stage 20 at least, it's really not that hard. You can check out my event dungeon video, but even farming stage 30 is not that hard, and you literally could be farming this thing with food if you have decent enough champions, of course. I myself am happy enough to have a couple of really good ones with which I can be doing this almost 100% success rate. It still actually does fail here and there, but for the most part it's great. But honestly, even farming yourself stage 10 would be amazing for a lot of players just for the sake of getting yourself 4 to 5 star accessories, guys. It is really that damn important. A lot of people are struggling with Spider. Arguably, Spider is gonna be harder than Pontiff Augustine if you don't have the right champions, because Pontiff is really just your classic dungeon, guys. It's really not that hard to handle, especially stage 20. All you gotta do is get yourself a good speed lead. If you don't have good enough nukers, you want to control the ads and just smack him down like you would any normal dungeon. Pontiff himself really doesn't smack that hard, so as long as you have yourself a decent Dragon 20 team, I'd say you should be able to actually beat this guy as well. Moving down from the dungeons, now let's talk about the really good gear you could be getting yourself. I already mentioned one of those really good sets, and that would be the Impulse set, which you could be getting yourself from Live Arena. I know Live Arena is not a very fun place for most people, but honestly, just bite the bullet and do it, guys. Like, even if you're bad at Live Arena, you should be facing other somewhat as bad as you people, and every third fight you're actually facing a bot, which really shouldn't be too hard for most people to beat. The Impulse set definitely is a pretty decent set for you because it does still basically do what the speed set does, but it also gives you the extra chance of reducing the cooldown of a skill, which is very good. And the other really good endgame set you could be getting from here would be Zeal. Zeal is another massive set you could be bringing, and the reason why it's so good is you can just use a couple of pieces from it, and that is gonna give you a ton of extra damage, especially on teams like Titus and so on and so forth. What does the 2-piece Zeal do? It gives you 20% crit damage, which is a pretty basic thing to be getting, but it also gives you 3% damage for every 25% HP this champion has. So for the most part, this is gonna give you 12% extra damage, guys. That is kinda insane. Just for a 2-piece set, it is kinda low-key broken, and you could be bringing this to any champion that is expected to be full health the whole time and also deal tons of damage. So a Titus would be benefiting a lot from a couple of pieces from this. Your Chimera nukers should be benefiting a ton from this, that kind of stuff. But obviously Live Arena definitely is not very fun for most, so fret not, you still have other decent options that include a lot more PvE instead. Moving down to something that a lot of people really fail to understand, and that is how important freaking Cursed City is, guys. I know a lot of people are actually doing as hard as they think they can be doing in Cursed City, but if you guys think endgame players are not swapping around their gear left and right and center in order to pass these bullshit challenging stages, you got another thing coming, guys. Do you guys seriously think I have these champions in my best gear at all times right now? Like, I'm literally not even using these champions nowadays, not a single one of them, even though some of them are great, like Esme and such. But what you should be doing is, when you face a really challenging stage in Cursed City, just get your best gear from your best champions, guys. I don't care if you're using him in your arena defense, I don't care if you're using him for PvP or for whatever. Just get that team preset, move it around, get yourself a bad champion built extremely well, and pass that shit, dudes. Like, here's my freaking Arbiter. If you think my Arbiter is not naked half the time, well, you got another thing coming. Obviously, I cannot have several champions built with 400 plus speed at all times, so what I have is, I have myself a global preset for Arbiter, and when I need her gear, I just steal it from her, use it on the champion that's slow as fuck, make him fast as fuck instead, and get that stage stage done. This is how nowadays I manage to pass all of these stages every single time, and it is gonna require a little bit of planning, it is gonna require a little bit of preparation, but it is damn worth it. Why is it worth it? Well, here it is. This is why it's worth it. This area right here, this means that this stage is gonna give me accessories from Merciless and from Supersonic. Both of those sets are super top tier, especially Merciless, and if you're not farming accessories for those sets, you are shooting yourself in the foot big time. Another place you could be getting accessories would be from Amius, which you should be clearing every single time. It does again require a little bit of strategizing, maybe leveling up champions you were not normally gonna be leveling, but if you want to get the accessories, if you want to get the big boy prizes, that is where they are, guys. Even normal Amius is gonna give you a little bit of accessories just from the boss alone. The other stages, if I'm not mistaken, do not give a single speck of accessories, so normal Curse City is not gonna be as profitable for you, but at least manage to kill the boss. But the hard boss is where the money's at. I think there were a few accessories in this area, but I've probably already passed that shit. There's accessories here on this Sand Devil, on the Dark Fae as well, which is really not that hard, and obviously on Amius, which I already passed easily. Why did I pass it easily? Well, I have broken champions, like duh. But there are strategies you could be pulling off against this guy, as long as you're dedicated, as long as you want to learn, as long as you move your freaking best gear on the weird champions you might have to use, this should be easy peasy. Well, not really. It's still kind of hard, it still takes a lot of tries, but it should be doable is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, enough about Cursed City. Do what you can to be clearing these stages. Merciless and Supersonic, especially Merciless, super important, and your best nukers should be at least in 6-piece Merciless. 9-piece Merciless is also good, but if you really want to get the big boy damage, 6-piece Merciless plus 2-piece Zeal is actually where the money's at, even though it's definitely hella fun getting multiple turns on your nukers. Another really important place you could be farming good gear from would be Doom Tower, but honestly, the only good gear you could be farming from Doom Tower comes once every 3 months, guys. This is why it's so important to be farming Dark Fae every single time as hard as you can, every time her rotation comes, and this I do believe should be in 3 weeks we should be getting Dark Fae. And how do you farm a ton of Dark Fae gear? Well, what you want to do is you actually want to ignore normal completely. Look at this, it's already 1 week in and I have not touched a single normal level from Doom Tower. What I do instead is I start climbing hard as soon as I can, as high as I can, which would be obviously the last level as long as we have enough days. And as soon as you do that, that is when you start farming the last stage of the boss you want to be farming from Doom Tower. Not only that, you also want to completely ignore secret rooms on the way up, because as soon as you reach the highest level, that is when you could start actually farming yourself the secret room keys, because every time you spend 1 silver key, you're gonna get 2 silver keys as a reward. So by the time you've unlocked the last stage of a boss you want to be farming a lot of, that is when you should be getting yourself all of the secret room keys, because that's gonna give you a lot of extra materials from that boss to farm. Like I said, only Dark Fae really matters from Doom Tower nowadays, but getting yourself a few good pieces from the Guardian set would not be the worst thing in the world from the Griffin. I would be farming that right now if I were you. The Frost Spider is not horrible on that rotation, but when it's Dark Fae time, farm Dark Fae as much as you can, guys. I do have a detailed video on how you could be farming Dark Fae with ease, and you could literally be doing it with epics, and sometimes it's actually even better for you to be doing it with epics. Like, God knows you don't want to be bringing somebody like a freaking Odin, or heck, somebody like Wukong, because that would be a pretty nasty opponent to be fighting yourself with. And instead, all you gotta do is just bring yourself basically a classic arena team with a good speed lead, with good crowd control, with good turn meter reduction, and just some fat nukes, and that does get the job done easily on full auto. Another thing that's not very fun for people to be doing, but it is extremely important to do, would be to do well on Siege, guys. If you're not doing well on Siege, you are shooting yourself in the foot, in the head, in the heart, I don't know, you're just destroying your progress right, left, and center. And even though Siege is not the most fun piece of content for most, you really should be doing well in it. And if your clan is not doing well, honestly, I think you should be looking for a better clan. I guess, at least if you want to be progressing. If you just want to have fun, if you're with a bunch of friends there and whatnot, fine by me. But if you want to be progressing, doing well on Siege is mandatory. The reason why it's mandatory is because the Feral set is so damn OP, especially the accessories. Even with just 2 or 3 accessories, that is gonna give you literally 80 accuracy just for 3 accessories and 5% speed from the accessories alone, which is kinda insane. Not only that, the 4-piece Feral set is super powerful. It allows it to actually farm the event dungeon super easily right now, and the 9-piece, that is where the real money is at, guys. Like, the 6-piece is okay, preventing polymorph and whatnot, but honestly, nobody's using that nowadays, I do believe. believe. The real money is at 9-piece because allies deal 5% more damage per each debuff placed by the wearer. If you build somebody like Lydia in a set like this, that is literally 20 to 25% extra damage for all champions on the team, which is literally insane. But for that to happen, you need to really have a good amount of feral gear, and if your clan ain't doing well on siege, well, you're just not gonna have a good amount of feral gear. Look at this. These are not just random pieces, by the way. These are already leveled pieces with pretty decent stuff on them. Right now, this actually looks pretty garbage, not gonna lie. This is an absolute sell. Why is it even here? I guess somebody had it equipped. But yeah, for the most part, this is not just random gear, but actually curated decent gear I could be using. And these are the unequipped pieces. Imagine what I have on my equipped champions. Anyway, enough flexing. Really do what you can to be a part of a good siege team, because if you're not winning at least half of your sieges, you are really losing a lot of progression for your account. And the last place you can be really farming good gear for your account would be, again, very clan related, and that would be from Hydra. Hydra is still one of the best places to be getting yourself really amazing pieces of gear. And if you want to be doing well on PvP, well, obviously you need to have a ton of good stone skin set. If you don't have good stone skin, you literally cannot be progressing well in any sort of PvP, really. Like, not all of your champions need to be in stone skin, but a lot of them really need it. So if you don't have stone skin, you're just not gonna do well over there. You don't even need to have that much of the stone skin. Like, literally just 4 pieces is usually enough for most champions, and it's an all-around great set to be having if you want to be progressing in that type of content. But the really important PvE set would be the protection set, because this thing, again, a lot like the feral set, is just so damn important. Again, at the 9-piece, not only are you gonna give 75% protected buffs on your allies, but you're also gonna increase their damage by 5% again for each buff placed by the wearer. If you give something like this to a very good support champion, it gives you 3, 4, 5 freaking buffs. This would literally skyrocket your results on all sorts of different PvE content, and it's also not the worst thing in the world to do on PvE as well with certain type of champions. Like, if you're giving them protected unkillable, protected block debuffs, that kind of stuff, that would be pretty powerful as well. But for the most part, this is an insane PvE set, and also 3 pieces of the accessories are gonna give you 12% freaking speed, which is literally the most amount of speed you could be getting from accessories total, even though it does require 3 pieces. So yeah, again, do what you can to be doing well on Hydra, as well as on the Clash, by the way, because the Clash is where you actually get accessories. That is very important. And you're also going to be getting yourself a bunch of mythical shards, mythical books, that kind of stuff, which is also no joke. Well, I did say this was the last thing I was going to talk about. Obviously, Grim Forest also is giving some good stuff right now, and you really should be doing everything you can to be farming as much of the Grim Forest as you can. Honestly, it's really not that hard. It does feel a little bit on the weaker side of content, at least from historical standpoint. Raid really does love giving us new pieces of content that are super overtuned. This one was not. And the gear, again, is actually pretty awesome. Again, it's a 9-piece variable set. It's not very easy to farm a good amount of it, however, but you are going to be getting yourself a decent amount of speed out of it, and also the total guard stacks you could be getting out of it ain't no joke either. The 9-piece is also pretty busted. So yeah, all around, again, a lot like Curse City. Move around some gear if you need to, and pass those silly levels you need to. Like, especially important to have yourself a decreased healing champion, a burn champion, that kind of stuff. You don't have to always have those champions geared out, but when you need them for a certain level, give them the best gear and give yourself the best chance of success. Other than that, we could also mention faction wars, because they do give you at least perception gear, but perception gear is not a top tier set, guys. It is a very good early and mid game set, don't get me wrong. Like, I have myself tons of this, and back in the day I literally had hundreds of pieces. Like, literally almost all my champions were built in 6-piece perception because it was so damn good. But for the most part, perception is not an endgame piece set, so not really worth mentioning it too much. But again, moving around gear on your faction wars champions is extremely important to actually progress higher than you should. The resilience set is pretty garbage, deflection is pretty whatever, swift berry also whatever, but they did say they are going to be reworking some of these sets, so soon maybe they're going to be a little bit more usable, but time will tell. Other than that, while we're here, obviously other amazing sets you could be getting would be things like Slayer, Righteous, Defiant, Bolster, Instinct, that kind of stuff, but these are all paid sets, so you can't really be farming those. But if you ever thought about spending a little bit of money, it is definitely worth it getting at least yourself the gold pass. Right now the gold pass is giving the Slayer set, and that is definitely an amazing set to be having. It gives so much extra damage, especially for AoE champions. Don't get it twisted, this thing only ignores 30% of enemy defense when using AoE skills. And also same thing goes for the 4-piece set. fills this champion's turn meter by 5% the first hit on each enemy from AoE attacks. So if you're not building an AoE champion with this thing, it's not gonna be giving the good stuff. Also the 9 pieces for AoE, so again, use it on somebody like Marius, but don't use it on somebody like, I don't know, Xenogre from off the top of my head, or any other single target nukers. So yeah guys, I think that's about it. A little bit longer video than I intended it to be, but I really want it to be thorough. I really wanted to go over all of these little things so you guys have a better understanding of what you should be farming and where. If you really want to be improving your accounts, start concentrating on the really important pieces of content like Cursed City, like Grim Forest, like Siege, like Hydra, and you should be skyrocketing your account's power one step at a time. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, a like and subscribe would be great. And don't forget you can support the channel for free by downloading raids from my premium download link and starting raid the right way with tons of amazing extra champions. Thanks for watching guys, I'm Chris05 and I'll see you in my next video or stream.